Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we are going to be taking a look as to how we can complete the Android based category challenge for the Fighting Legend Goku event as part of the free to play series. So basically this is a series whereby I try to complete as much of the game as possible using only units you can obtain within the game. So no summonable units. I have also excluded world tournament units, so you cannot use those because you need to summon for them and it's RNG based. So basically, if you had to put a team together of units that you could get right now by accessing the Portal of Memories or by accessing the in-game events, basically. So it should be essentially, if someone had enough memory keys, had enough stamina, they could go right now, make this team and complete this challenge. In terms of the actual team within itself, pretty solid stuff. So the Androids team is one of the stronger free-to-play categories. I think overall it's a pretty solid team. And so it really wasn't too hard to put together a team strong enough to complete the legendary Goku event. There are a couple notable standout units, and we'll talk about them in due time. So the lead of the team that I'll be using is the AGL Android 17 and 18. Now this is the Easy 8 version, so they are an 80% lead, key plus 4 lead. They raise attack and defense in one turn, and they greatly raise attack and defense on their 18 key. They have attack and defense of 78% when performing an attack. They give extreme class allies defense of 50%, and they have an additional key plus 3 and attack of 78%, along with launching an additional super attack when facing super class enemies. So pretty good stuff. Obviously they just going to kind of float around, provide both rotations with some decent support, and they act as our lead. They are the highest free-to-play lead that we can currently get. You could maybe run an artificial life forms team under the cell, the first form cell. You could also possibly use the Android 17 future, but those are actually lower overall. Those are just 77%, and Cell is just an artificial life forms lead, so not necessarily covering enough of the bases for us to use. And then alongside them, we are using the Tech Android 17 future and the Strength Android 18 future units. Together, both of them are more than fine. As units, they greatly raise attack and raise defense for Android 17. Who has attack and defense of 100% with an additional attack and defense of 70% when Android 18 Future is in the same turn. He launches an additional super attack when there's a Hybrid Sans or Earthling category enemy, and he has obviously that additional attack for each key sphere obtained, along with a medium crit chance when Android 18 is in the team. So he's a stacker, which is obviously super helpful, and the same goes for Android 18. She greatly raises attack and raises defense, which also helps, and she's very much the same, gaining attack and defense per rainbow key sphere obtained, and a medium chance of evading enemies when we have Android 17 Future attacking in the same turn. So all pretty good stuff. Together they make a very, very powerful duo, especially in events like this where they can just continue to build up attack and defense. So pretty decent stuff overall. Then we have the Ruthless Android 13. So this is Android 13. He basically is pretty good after his EZA, raising attack and defense, so he's another stacking unit, but he has attack of 130%, damage reduction of 40% when key is 8 or more, plus an additional attack and defense of 130% when facing a opponent whose name is Goku, Vegeta, Trunks Teen, or Piccolo Demon. Demon King, Majin Buu, etc. excluded. So pretty good stuff. He also has an additional attack and defense for the rest of battle when he has Android 14 and 15 attacking in the same turn, and we're going to have those two attack in the same turn at least once or twice with him, so that will trigger as well. He's pretty good. His defense is really solid with all the additional boosts from having Android 14 and 15 and from facing Goku. and the 40% damage reduction is pretty good as well. So all in all, he's very much a good tank for this event, and his stacking helps him to pretty much just keep up and to do some good damage all around. So very, very, very good. Very happy to use him, and essentially, yeah, just a very, very good unit in general, I think, which is pretty good. So yeah, he's really solid. Obviously, I think, you know, the team itself is pretty good. I think all these units are probably my top 3 to play picks for these positions so far. Now you can kind of get to some debates about these next couple units. So these ones I would say you kind of have to bring. Not have to, but you know, you should. These guys are all good. They're all going to help carry the team. They're all going to do a really good amount of workload. And then the rest you can kind of debate. Whether you use physical Android 8 and 17, or whether you use int Android 16, etc. I think, it's each their own. Android 16, personally for me, he's more than fine. Honestly speaking, he's pretty decent. He's a super strike 1, so he raises defense for 1 turn on his super attack. He has attack and defense of 160% with an additional attack or defense, of 80% when facing 2 or less enemies, which honestly is fine. He has a high chance of guarding all attacks when all allies in the same turn are Android Cell Saga units, so that's okay. Damage reduction of 60%. Obviously, we don't have a full team of Android Cell Saga units, and he's floating, so he's not going to be able to activate that portion of his passive too reliably, but to be honest with you, he's more than fine defensively without it. And yeah, he was just a solid option to just bring, realistically speaking. It really wasn't too much of a big deal. He was honestly a super duper chilled option to bring, and I was just happy with his overall performance. So yeah, I didn't really see a need to switch him out for anyone or anything. Then yeah, I think that pretty much covers every single unit that we used. We've got the AGL the AGL LR. We've got the Tech and Strength Future units. We've got Android 13, and then we've got obviously the Android 16. Finally, the Android 14 and 15, who are also going to be running. Android 14 and 15, yeah, they're decent. They would be better if we had a Fusion Android 13 on the team, but in general, they're still pretty good. Attack and defense of 90% with an additional attack and defense of 29% when performing super attack, plus an additional attack and defense of 90% and foreseeing enemy super attacks for the rest of battle when you have an Android 13 attacking in the same turn. They do reduce damage received. There's a Fusion Android 13, but that doesn't happen for us because we don't have that. But generally speaking, the ability to foresee super attacks is pretty much so valuable that it doesn't really matter too much. Yeah, so it's pretty helpful, and it's something that helps you so much that you don't really notice. You do just need to be a bit careful with them. They're not the highest stat units on the team, so yeah. In terms of other replacements, there's only really maybe the Android 17 and 8 unit that I would consider using, just because they have that ability to potentially reduce damage received when HP is 80% or less, which is always helpful. And they do guard all attacks, which is also somewhat helpful. But yeah, maybe them I would switch in for the Android 16. I think it's much of a muchness. You could run them, you could run him. It doesn't really matter. Overall, we didn't really use any items at any point. We used a Whis. Sorry, we used a Ghost Usher to skip one phase of the Strength Goku and then one phase of the Int Goku, just to avoid any major damage. And then we also used a Whis during the final phases here. Didn't use more than one Whis, just used the one, just to kind of see how things went. You could use however many you want. It's really not a big deal. Just use whatever you really feel you need to. Overall, it was really an easy free-to-play run. Like I said, the Androids team, pretty solid. The Android Cell Saga one will also be very close to being as easy. So yeah, pretty much a super straightforward run. Other than that though, obviously, yeah, I think if you have any issues, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, yeah, another challenge done free to play. There's a couple more Goku Legend events we can do, and then we'll switch back to some SBR and maybe start doing the gods eventually and some ESBR as well. But yeah, cool.